All right, welcome to the Service MVP podcast. And my name is Joe Crisara, America's service sales coach. And I'm here today with Landon Brewer, who is one of the icons in the service industry, a guy who I feel is a truth teller. And I know Landon has a lot of people who love him and a lot of people he scares. Because the truth, because the truth does scare people. Landon, welcome to our show. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. What a great introduction. That was remarkable. I love your pseudo psychological assessment. This is perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, I'm just an amateur psychologist, but nonetheless, definitely, I can't help but be magnetically drawn to reading everything that you write on both online as well as hearing the wisdom in person. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the background to give people some of a background as to how you got to where you're at today? Because right now he does run this group called Einstein Prime, as well as he works with other guiding companies through private equity and things like that as well. He's got his fingers in a lot of different opportunities. Landon, tell us how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah. Well, I guess it all started in I don't know, early 2000s, so about 20. Not quite 25 years ago. I answered an ad in a newspaper back when that's where you used to find jobs, was in the newspaper, like you back then in the Midwest. And I was an accountant, pseudo accountant that was looking for a better job. And I found an ad in a newspaper that was looking for a financial analyst at a venture capital firm in St. Louis. And it was the folks that took Service Experts public. And they presented kind of the business model and plan, and I thought it was brilliant and wanted to get in early on and jumped in and then built a lot of things there, some what we call success groups or best practice organizations. And my job was to kind of like identify those things, put them in books and teach them to people, and eventually ran the best practices organization, and some franchises were built out of that. So I just had this like large network of contractors throughout the US and Canada, and didn't really hadn't envisioned that this was going to be my career. I was going to, back then I wanted to be a .com millionaire because that was all the rage back in the day, and that wasn't working out. So I met a whole bunch of people that ended up being, massively successful in the space. And a lot of them are now exited and, went on to build large platforms, or some of them are running some of these large private equity groups today. And so fast forward a couple of years, I partnered with a partner that I've had for 15 plus years, probably, going on 20 now, different ventures, Ken Goodrich. And he convinced me that the way to go was to sell some businesses to ARS Rescue Rooter. And then I moved out to the West Coast to help run the West Coast operations for those guys. And we had an earn out, and then the earn out ended, and then kind of all fledged around for a little bit. And then I called him. I said, well, let's do this again. Let's build something and get a whole bunch of our friends together and do it. So we started down that path. And then that's how we got into Gettle air conditioning, and took over as SVP for Gettle air conditioning, kind of going all over the place here. We expanded that, sold that a majority stake to private equity a number of years ago, and then did a recap, and I retired on the second sale, and then joined the board of another private equity firm and helped build that, and then exited that. And along the way, I just kind of built some best practices groups, made some investments in the space. And I don't know, I've done 50 plus deals on the buy sell side now for private equity and just my own, building our own businesses. And now I've got kind of another organization growing that's a best practices group with potential to scale that into something pretty remarkable. So just kind of all over the place. And along the way, with all these contractor connections, I built some online Facebook groups, and we share information there, and you're very active in that, and we appreciate that. But yeah, just been around and know a lot of people, and try to help as many people as possible.
Well, I tell you what, you definitely are very concise and accurate when you in your depiction of some of the personalities you see out there and things like that. Today, we're going to talk about because I really think this would be unique. I'm not going to ask about some generic thing. I'm going to ask specifically, what are three things that you will not allow in your life? But I think boundaries, it looks like to me, are something on the outside that are very important to you. Like it's like I'm not going to allow certain things into my stratosphere, and I think you encourage contractors to do the same. That you try to encourage contractors to set a boundary when it comes to certain things that you should not allow into your life. And then there's other things that obviously when you think of all the opportunities you're talking about, like the 50 acquisitions and the different the clockworks and the Gettle and all the other opportunities you're open to, there's a lot of things that definitely you welcome or you embrace in your life. So could you give us three things that you think contractors could learn from you as the things that you should just that you would say, I'm not going to allow this in my life. This is a boundary. It's a firm boundary. What are three things there? And then we'll go on to the three things that you embrace. What are the three things that you reject in your life?
Yeah, so you're probably one of the big reasons that you're asking. As you see, I have a passion for posting sometimes what you might consider strong opinions, but my passion is this business is, on accident done so much for me and my family, and it's enabled me to build an amazing life and do more than I ever had thought, quite frankly. And the people along the way have just been the most remarkable. Like for the most part, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, like in the trades, they're all genuinely good, blue collar, solid, salt of the earth, humble human beings for the most part, right? If I had to just take a sample of everybody, that's probably at the core of it. But and when I got into this space many years ago, the people that were the mentors and the trainers and the old folks like George Brazil or Frank Blau or some of these people that I was fortunate enough to meet along the way, Ron Smith, like just like genuinely good people that had a heart to serve and help others. And I thought, wow, just kind of like fit who I was, right? And now I've seen, probably just the age of social media, all these people that have congregated into the space, a lot of these younger people, and maybe it's just a different age and a different flavor, but I see like the era of internet guru kind of like taking over, and which is great because it allows us to share a lot of information freely and openly, and you can get lots of perspectives and different opinions. But it also is like a lion's den where like some of these sheep are being led to slaughter, I feel like, because these people are just preying on people that need the most help, right? Especially people that are newer in the industry, have just gone into business for themselves in the last 5 years and just don't really know where to turn or who to trust. And you see, flashy stuff and expensive cars and gold chains and, people telling these elaborate stories about who they are without any vetting. So, I would say that the things that I try to advise people to keep out of their life is like, you got to have some level of discernment, trust your gut. If you're seeing somebody that's telling you something that's maybe too good to be true and saying it doesn't require work and it's a silver bullet, like it just doesn't exist, right? Mm-hmm. There are certain gold nuggets and things that you can pick up that will just, quickly make sense to you, that will be helpful, but you got to do the hard work of putting it into your business and building it, from the ground up. You can't just, there's no magic, verbiage that you can use and all of a sudden become an amazing closer, right? There's a sales process. It's the same mm-hmm. thing with what you see online. So, having that level of discernment is probably, one thing that I would advise, because you got to know what to keep out. Right. And one of the things that I allow into my life, like you were saying, is I welcome different perspectives and opinions and, direct feedback that even may be harsh. Right. And I try mm-hmm. to take that in because I try to learn from everybody, which is what I love about social media. You can learn from everybody. Some people you learn that, what not to do or how to behave or what to look like. Right. So So you get that, but you got to really evolve that sense of discernment in your gut. And if you see something flashy and crazy and something that just, it doesn't make sense from a timeline, and you got a 25-year-old guy that says he's made $50 million in the space, probably not true, right? It's just, those things, you might be a unicorn, but it doesn't happen very often, right? So,
or maybe it may have there may be a truth to it. That's why I think you're good at it. It's like, there's a truth to it, but $25 million, let's say, with a debt of $10 million is really not success. I wouldn't call that success, right? So, or by using other investors' monies and then coming up with a break even or whatever type of a thing. Because profit, I think everybody knows that profit is difficult. It's not. It takes courage. It takes courage to make profit. You got to make decisions on people that you really like that just are not going to be able to join you on the profit journey in a way. Does it make sense there? Yeah. And that's something that's always got me about you. You've had the ability to disagree with people publicly, actually, but still not just trash them as a person. Tell us a little about that. How do you view how do you come that part of it?
Sometimes
how do you disagree without trashing the person or making them feel like they're worthless in a way? Does that make sense, sir?
Yeah. And then sometimes you like to have fun with people, just to have fun with them. But for the most part, everything that I try to do in life, and it's like, here's the accountant in me. It's all data driven. All the business decisions that we make, all the systems that we build, all of the stuff that we do, it's all just driven off of data. It's like, we've hit a challenge. We identify what the challenge is. We quantify it, and we put a strategy together. We measure it. So everything is data driven. Everything has either been an experience that I've had growing a business and what I've encountered and how I've resolved it, and sharing that. So if somebody's trying to, again, I value opinions. So I love hearing feedback of new ways to do things. But if I'll get somebody that will put something out that's contrary to what I know to be true, I will just say, well, here's another way of thinking about it, and here's the factual evidence behind it, right? And most people, when you present it with it, if you present it authentically from a good place and you provide factual evidence, it's, people don't really get overly offended at that. They may be incorrect. And I'm also willing to admit when I'm incorrect. If somebody says, hey, I got the data to prove you can do X, Y, and Z, I love that. Prove me wrong, and then let me see how you did it, and let me repeat what you're doing.
Is that is the data-driven aspect that your financial background, one of those things that help create that? You say discerning is a very generic term, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that's like, all right, you're a marketing person, or you got marketing funnels you're trying to sell me. Show me your funnel, or let's look at their brand or whatever. Let's see how they do it, right? Because I always say that the numbers don't lie, and those are words you probably heard. You probably sold, hundreds of people who are seeking to possibly invest. Have you invest in them, and well, the numbers don't lie. Either it's going to be worth investing or not, right? Tell us about that part. What questions would you ask if you were trying to be discerning in a way that would kind of cut the bullshit, if you would?
Yeah,
that's going to be explicit, this podcast. But how can we cut the bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Or how can a contractor say, hey, let's look at this and see if there's any truth to it, to be discerning, but specifically let's use that data a little bit more, if you don't mind drilling down for us on that.
Yeah, I think that you hit a good topic there. It was, like digital marketing is one of those things that you got all these people popping up all over and promising you, the moon, for pennies on the dollar, and it just doesn't work. You see all these people. Could you use 50 more replacement jobs this month? Press here and accept. Again, not everybody starts from a place of having a lot of data. So if you don't have a lot of data, I think you just start accepting these phone calls and invitations and say, hey, show me your dashboard, show me what you got, show me another customer specifically, and then you white out their information so you're not breaking confidentiality, but show me exactly, before and after what you're doing. And so I know what to expect. And then the key part to that is trust but verify, right? So if you decide, hey, I feel confident, I think that this guy can deliver better results than my current provider, and I don't get the data or whatever the performance I want of my current provider. This is what I know to expect from my new provider, and this is what I'm going to hold you accountable to. So every week we're going to meet, we're going to go over the KPIs, we're going to go over the metrics, and you're going to show me the performance. And if it becomes a series of excuses, like you got 2 weeks of excuses before the data has got to be what it needs to be, otherwise we're done. But most people don't, most people don't hold their vendors, their employees, team members, their even themselves accountable to the results that they expect, right? And I think probably the key difference between an amazing business, an amazing career, an amazing outcome on a call is holding yourself responsible to the performance you expect, right? So if you know that you're supposed to generate one replacement sale out every 8 calls, and it's not happening, you got to have a plan to do something about it and make it happen. If you know that you're supposed to sell, $3,000 every time you go run a call and you're only coming back with $1,200, figure out how to make it happen. It's like, it's my duty to myself, my family, my team. Like, you just got to figure out how to make it happen. Most people don't do that. Most people are afraid to hold others accountable because they don't have the data. They don't like confrontation, whatever. But if you come again from a genuinely good, authentic place and you got data, accountability becomes really easy.
Mm-hmm. How many people do you see fall prey to that seduction of potential, right? Like, hey, somebody had a good day, or hey, they did get a couple calls that come in from that marketing company, or that service tech, hey, had a good call, that one call, and then the rest of the time is just crap, right? I mean, it's like you say there, is that what's your timeline? Because the cycle is sort of like, you train somebody, you get involved with something, there's a little bit of spark of something different, it starts working, and then all of a sudden it runs flat again. And then you say, well, some people let that go on for years, at that point, hoping that it'll get back to that one time it worked or whatever. Tell us about that, a little bit about the seduction of potential.
Yeah, I get probably the best example there is if you got like a team member that has all kind of potential, right? That obviously, if you've hired them and put forth the money and effort to train them and bring them on board and provide them an opportunity, you expect them to perform at a certain level, right? And sometimes they come back from a training, or they'll just go through a period of just amazing results and show you what they're capable of doing, and then it will fade, and you'll get to a point where, okay, is this within tolerable, acceptable, budgeted range, and they can stay there? What can we do to make the B player an A and make them A more often? Or are they a C player now, and they've been here and we've provided them the resources, we've done all that we can do, and they're just not living up to their potential? Most people are too afraid to act there. But what happens is the seduction of potential. It's like, all right, you got the C player that we've worked on, we've given the performance improvement plan to, we've provided the resources, and they're just not putting the effort they need to elevate themselves, right? And so what happens is, okay, we finally come to the conviction that we have to move on from that person. We're going to, top grade and bring on somebody else. And then all of a sudden they have the best week of their life, or the best 2 days in a row of their life. And it's like, well, maybe we don't do anything right now. And then you go through another 3 months of hell, and you're like, I should have done something, but that's like, it's like a law for some reason. Like right when you're about to say, pull the trigger, it's like maybe they feel it and they just giving up momentarily.
It's like an impulse of success that just takes. But and that's the part that kills you, right? I mean, but you must have cycled through this hundreds of times now. And how far are you in your convictions of that to I guess one of the things I say you're not allow is lack of effort, right? Does that sound, is that fair?
Yeah,
To
there's
say that?
absolutely no way is lack of effort. I mean, lack of effort is just intolerable. Like there's to run through a quick list. You lie, you cheat, you steal. Like that's an automatic. Just I don't care what caliber you are.
Mhm.
Like those are character traits that I just can't fix. Right? That's your upbringing, and I'm not about to try and fix that.
Right.
Which I've had all of those things happen numerous times, right? Unfortunately, it's part of being in business, I guess. But the thing that I hate most is like, the best part of the business is seeing somebody that's like, I had this young kid, and one time I just always think about that, was living. He had two twin daughters. It was like 19 years old. He's living in his mom's house in like a 1-bedroom place, and just making no money, had nothing kind of going on in his life. And he was a lead generator for me at a big box store.
Mm.
And, he used to, I'd be in there working on Saturday, and I'd have a meeting with the lead generators, and I'd go into my office, and he'd say, "Hey, can I sit in and listen to you work for a little while? Just ask you questions." And he was like, "I just want to learn how to say what you do and do it. Just learn from you." And so he did that enough times, like, all right, well, I take more of an interest in you. And I took a personal interest in him. And I'm like, man, you're really talented. You can do almost anything. We're going to give you a step. And one day you're going to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars, being the top sales guy in the country. I could just see it. Right. And so he quickly elevated his game. And then we made him the manager of the lead generator. So we gave him, I made him learn like in the call center and in different positions in the business. And then finally, when he was old enough to look like he could actually fit into a uniform, we started training him as a tech, and then eventually as a sales guy. And he had various positions, and now he's, exceptional sales guy making a couple $100,000 a year. And it's probably only been 6 years since. And I
Wow.
love those stories, those people that just, you provide them with an opportunity for unlimited success, and they just take it and run. Right. And sometimes they'll cap out, but like those people, and that's the best part about being people like us, is we have the ability to provide those opportunities to an endless stream of people,
Mhm.
right? That in our industry, and some of them take it and just run with it, and some of them are the most talented people that just won't put forth the effort to do some of these things. They won't do hard stuff, right? So whenever my daughter doesn't want to do her homework, I'm like, you got to just wake up and do the hard stuff first. If this is not what you like to do, first thing you do every day, just conquer it, wake up and do it. And then the life will be easy after that. If you just wait until the last second and then try and get some help and half-ass it, your life's going to be hard. Right. And so
Mhm.
I've built exceptional teams. I've been a part of exceptional teams. People have given me exceptional opportunities. And when I see what we have out there as an opportunity and somebody squandering it, I'm just like, okay, it's just bad for the culture. We need a team of winners. We need a team of people that uh, are going to get together and put forth the effort and just so yeah. I can't tolerate a lack of effort. It just drives me insane.
But on the other hand, that's what one of the things you embrace, the people who go over the top and do more than you expect. I was just surprised, like, what? I gave him all this information, he didn't do anything with it, or I gave him this information and he went beyond what I thought. Right? What do you think of that?
That was my biggest. So when I first started doing the best practice thing, I thought, man, this is great. We have these books that tells you everything. The most successful people in the industry in the space are doing these things. We laid it out for you. We got videotapes. You can come to the trainings. You can come to the events. You can do all of these things and just have tools available for you now, anywhere to learn how to build a business if you have zero experience. And some people took it and made very valuable businesses. Other people will sit there and pay you crazy amounts of money, and come to the events and take notes and get back in their business and just like, oh, I don't know if our dispatchers are going to like to dispatch this way. I don't know if, our techs are going to get upset if we do this. Maybe I should get this guy involved and get his feedback. And it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you paying to be part of something if you're not going to go back and take the bull by the horns and take this to the stratosphere? But it's amazing. I would say 40% of the people just don't, or they can't, they need help implementing it in their business after they come back.
That's one thing I see is that sometimes people, I think, let's put it this way, I think there's always an effort that people make. They make an effort to avoid or make excuses, the effort to make excuses, the effort to let's get consensus, as opposed to the effort of taking the information is true and putting it in place, right? Do you see the same thing that people, the wasted effort that people make on something, because effort is made no matter what, whether it's avoidance or whether it's embracing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that's so one of the things that I embrace that I try to do is I try to just say yes, and I've learned this over time. Like so you may not know this, especially if you see me on social media and my Facebook posts, but I'm a pretty just naturally incredibly introverted human being. And I was an accountant for a reason because I just like numbers. I like working on spreadsheets. I like looking at financials, and I like putting strategies together and giving it to somebody else. And I remember working at the first organization, and I'm like, man, I'm like, accountants don't make money. Salespeople make money. Like the people that are making money are the people that are on the stage. The people that are making money are the people that are like teaching these, like, I'm adding value, but I'm never going to achieve wealth by sitting behind a spreadsheet. But I hate it because I don't like doing podcasts. You wouldn't know it maybe. I don't like seeing myself on video. I can't stand hearing my voice. I don't like getting up on stage and speaking at events. I absolutely would just rather take a quiet walk by myself on the beach and not talk to people. And that's just naturally who I am. But at some point, something had to break in me and say, I need to do these things. And I just start to say yes to every opportunity that's presented me that may feel uncomfortable, because growth only happens and success and wealth and all of these things are only achieved when you do things that are not comfortable. And so that's when I really started to take a different direction in my life, actually. And in the last couple of years, after like the ghetto deal and some of these others, I thought, I'm just going to be retired and done for a little bit, and I can sit around and then, maybe, plan my next move. And then things started coming at me, and private equity people wanted to talk to me, and this guy wants to talk to me, and it gets to be a lot now. And I just started saying yes. And unless there's something in my gut or something, that I've evaluated that seems like a bad thing to do or not doesn't fit well. If it fits well, but it requires me to make a little extra effort or do something that I'm not used to doing, I'm just going to do it. And if it doesn't fit along the way, then we can move on. But now, I mean, it's allowed me to get into areas and make investments and get on boards and develop relationships that have just taken me to a different level from last couple of times I've retired. So
it's like going. So it sounds like you're saying you say yes to the opportunities you see, and then it's like, prove it though. Now it's like, prove it. Show me the data. Show me the information. I think a lot of times we just of course I teach purchasing on a relationship you create with people, right? But unfortunately, the relationship is good, but there has to be data to kind of back it up in a way, like you said, like hard facts. Beyond that, there's the emotional part of it, which is a relationship, but then there's the logical part. Is this going to deliver? Does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, sir? Those two things.
Yep.
It sounds like you've mastered both of those. One thing that intrigued me too about you said about your daughter. It's like so many times I see all the gurus who are like, they can manage like I can manage this business or I can manage this department, but they can't manage their own family. Does that make sense, sir? Is that tell me about that? Tell me how do you use some of the principles in your own personal life? As you mentioned, your daughter and things like that. Is that something that has given you? You think you become a better parent and a better partner because of all that type of thing in your own personal life?
Yeah, I'd say the first several years of my daughter's life, I was dedicated to like to me, I've always viewed, especially, now that when you have a family, I've always viewed everyone's personal goal, every team member, every investor, everyone's personal goal is your responsibility is to your own family trust, right? So every day that you go to work, your performance at work, your ability to, get a promotion, get a raise, make more money, sell more stuff, build a bigger business, whatever your goal is, I've always viewed it as, I'm creating wealth for my family trust. It's not for me. It's for my family. Right. And so the first 5 years of my daughter's life, 4 or 5 years, I was traveling 100% of the time on the road, going out, trying to fix whatever business was broken over here or acquire this business over here. It was constant travel. I wasn't there as much. And I knew that I was going to make that sacrifice for a short period of time so I could achieve the financial means to give me some freedom to spend more time with my daughter and then do some other things. And so I did that. And then I made a conscious effort that, all of the other things that I do from here on out, I'm still going to have the ability to go to her sporting events, go to her school events, take her to school a number of days a week, pick her up, just participate and be active in her life. And then it's no different. It was like when you're full time, always on the road, your work people become your family, right? And you're pouring that same amount of effort into them. Now I'm
Right.
taking the time to consciously pour it back into my family.
Well, that is great news, and I'm glad that I'm sure your family and your daughter and everybody is happy to see more of you, and the financial freedom you've earned has allowed you to do that. And definitely, when people think about this country, I think everybody should look at the path that you've taken to seize opportunity. Landon, thanks so much for being a guest on this podcast. Definitely, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Any final thoughts for contractors before we leave? Just give us one last final paragraph if you want. What do you think?
Yeah. I think here's what I say. You're talking about the American dream. I don't think there's ever been a better time in history and a better industry than to achieve that. We're at a very unique spot in the space where you got all this private equity, and it's just to become a hot commodity. So for the people that actually want to put forth the effort, you don't have to have massive amount of education. You just have to have the requisite skills, ability, and put forth the effort. And you just, make the right moves, and you can create the American dream here better than almost any place else. If you've thought about going someplace else to chase it, like my early.com thing, think again, it's sitting right in front of you.
That's great. Well, thanks for that advice, Landon. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Joe.